Welcome, history enthusiasts, to a tale of gold, blood, and the tragic fall of the Inca Empire. How could 168 exhausted men destroy an empire of 10 million people in a single day? The answer lies within a deadly trap, a throne book, and a room filled entirely with pure solid gold. Witness the brutal collision of two different worlds that changed human civilization forever. This is the true story of Francisco Pizarro, the captive king, and the fatal ransom at Cajamarca. In 1532, the great Inca Empire was severely crippled by a devastating silent killer. Smallpox arrived from the north long before the Spanish, wiping out countless villagers in the Andes Mountains. The sudden death of the previous Sun King triggered a brutal civil war between two royal brothers. Inca records state that thousands of warriors slaughtered each other, leaving the great empire completely fractured. Amidst this heavy chaos, Francisco Pizarro marched into the Rocky Highlands with a very small force. Only 168 Spanish soldiers crossed the perilous mountains, exhausted and heavily armored. They rode strange, massive beasts with foaming mouths, animals the isolated Andean people had never seen before. Scouts urgently reported these bearded foreigners to the victorious Emperor Atahualpa. The proud Sun King was resting near Cajamarca, surrounded by an army of 80,000 fierce men. He completely dismissed the tiny Spanish group as harmless bandits, showing immense arrogance and fatal pride. Historical texts note that Atahualpa believed his sheer numbers would easily crush any foolish invaders. Pizarro, heavily outnumbered, realized that a direct open battle would mean instant death for his tired men. He needed a ruthless strategy to survive the overwhelmingly hostile territory of the Incas. The Spanish commander closely observed the stone square of Cajamarca, forming a very deadly and dark plan. He quietly positioned his cannons, horses, and muskets inside the long stone buildings around the plaza. Every single soldier remained hidden in the deep shadows, gripping their sharp weapons with shaking hands. They waited in absolute terrified silence, knowing that failure meant being sacrificed to the sun gods. Atahualpa prepared to enter the city, wanting to impress the strangers with his absolute royal power. He made a fatal choice, ordering his elite guards to leave their lethal weapons entirely behind. 8,000 unarmed men marched directly into the carefully prepared steel jaws of the Spanish trap. The great Sun King arrived on a magnificent golden litter, shining brightly under the afternoon sun. His majestic procession filled the square, expecting the foreign bandits to quickly surrender in pure terror. Instead of Pizarro, a single skinny figure wearing black and white robes walked slowly toward the king. Friar Vicente de Valverde approached, holding a small wooden cross and a worn, leather-bound Bible tight. Through a nervous translator, the priest loudly demanded the mighty emperor submit to the Spanish crown. He offered the holy book, claiming it contained the divine words of the one true Almighty God above. Atahualpa, unfamiliar with texts, curiously placed the object closely against his royal ear. Hearing absolute silence, the proud ruler felt deeply insulted by this strange and meaningless gesture. With an angry glare, he forcefully threw the sacred Bible directly onto the hard stone plaza floor. That single action ignited a horrific spark that would quickly burn the entire civilization down. The fanatic friar screamed for vengeance, giving Pizarro the perfect religious excuse to begin fighting. Pizarro fiercely swung his sharp sword, signaling the hidden deadly troops to launch their sudden attack. If you were the king, Would you have acted differently against such unknown and disrespectful invaders? Suddenly, deafening cannon fire and thick gunpowder smoke rapidly filled the completely enclosed stone space. Armored cavalry charged from the dark buildings, trampling the terrified guards beneath heavy iron hooves. The indigenous people had never seen horses, believing them to be monstrous, terrifying, unified beasts. Panic immediately swept the crowd as lethal Spanish steel effortlessly sliced through their vulnerable flesh. The unarmed royal guards desperately tried to protect their emperor with nothing but their bare, bloody hands. Chronicles note a slaughter so intense that the Spanish soldiers grew physically exhausted from killing. In mere hours, over thousands of elite Inca warriors lay completely dead upon the blood-stained stone floor. Pizarro rushed forward, violently grabbing the shocked emperor directly by his royal woven clothing. Atahualpa was roughly dragged from his magnificent golden litter, his sacred red crown tumbling away. The unimaginable had happened. The living god of the Andes was now a prisoner of mere mortal men. This devastating victory effectively destroyed the main leadership of the vast, sprawling empire. Locked in a dark stone room, the captured ruler desperately sought a way to buy back his stolen freedom. Atahualpa realized that these filthy invaders possessed an absolute obsession with shiny metals. For the Incas, gold was just the sweat of the sun, having purely spiritual and aesthetic value alone. Standing on his tiptoes, the captive emperor confidently reached his arm high against the cold stone wall. He proudly offered to completely fill the room with solid gold and 2 more rooms with pure silver. Blinded by pure greed, Pizarro eagerly accepted this historically unprecedented and massive ransom. Royal decrees were urgently sent across the vast Andes, demanding all sacred treasures be brought quickly. For months, long trains of furry llamas traveled the rugged mountain trails heavily loaded with wealth. Priests tragically stripped their magnificent sun temples bare, removing gorgeous life-sized golden statues. The desperate subjects carried tons of intricately carved artifacts to save their beloved ruler. Would you destroy the irreplaceable sacred heritage of your ancestors just to save one single leader? As the shiny gold piled higher, the Spanish soldiers watched with glowing eyes and terribly hungry hearts. They melted priceless indigenous masterpieces down into plain, highly transportable metal bars. Centuries of brilliant culture were brutally transformed into mere European currency. The total collected ransom was approximately 6 tons of pure gold and 12 massive tons of silver. It remains the most expensive ransom ever paid in all of human military history. Atahualpa fulfilled his incredible promise, fully expecting Pizarro to honor the agreement. The Spanish commander never actually intended to release the powerful king back to his people. Pizarro deeply feared that freeing the emperor would quickly spark a massive and uncontrollable rebellion. The vast treasure only intensified the conqueror's greed and dark, treacherous, hidden ambitions. A sinister, deadly plot was quietly formed to permanently eliminate the royal hostage once and for all. Pizarro orchestrated a fake trial, accusing the king of ordering his own brother's murder. The mock court also charged him with terrible treason and the religious crime of worshipping false idols. Despite paying the highest ransom in history, the unfortunate emperor was swiftly sentenced to burn alive. According to strict Inca beliefs, a burned body meant the soul could never properly enter the afterlife. Fearing spiritual death, the proud ruler desperately begged the cruel foreigners for an alternative. Friar Valverde offered a grim deal: accept the Christian baptism to change the method of his execution. Broken and defeated, the Sun King agreed, being tragically baptized under the new name Francisco. In the dark, shadowy square, Atahualpa was tightly bound to a wooden chair by the silent executioner. A thick, rough rope was placed around his royal neck as he stared blankly into the cold, unforgiving night. The executioner slowly twisted the wooden stick, tightening the brutal garrote around the fallen monarch. With a final tragic gasp, the last great independent ruler of the magnificent Inca Empire passed away. His unjust death shattered any remaining organized resistance across the weeping native lands. The fall of Cajamarca opened the bloody floodgates for centuries of European colonialism. Mountains of sacred gold were stolen, enriching Spain but destroying a glorious civilization. The ransom room stands today as a haunting monument to unimaginable greed and betrayal. A grim reminder that even the most powerful empires can rapidly fall to cunning traps and foreign diseases. The sun finally set on the proud Tawantinsuyu, leaving behind only the whispered echoes of a golden past. While the Incas fell for gold, a huge floating city in Mexico faced its own colonial doom. Just how magnificent was that ancient Aztec capital? Share your thoughts below and join the debate. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more epic history content. See you next time.